Welcome back. I'm joined now by Professor Aaron Johnson with Darton State College. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm happy to be here.
Well, of course, last night you were here for the election, but let's start off with some local things. We know that Congressman Sanford Bishop won, and he will be serving his 11th consecutive term, which is really nice. But then locally, even more, Dougherty County School Board at-large seat. This has been going on for months now, and Dr. Lane Price won by a lot.
She did, and I think that the combination of the primary win and the general election win, I think she can run on a mandate. Mm-hmm. And while one should acknowledge that it is challenging to run as a write-in candidate, mm-hmm. We must admit that she was very successful in a majority county, and so she's got widespread support, and so I think that speaks strongly to the confidence that the electorate has in her.
Absolutely, and she's very excited to start very soon working with the board. Now, segueing from local to statewide, the state charter school amendment was a very hot topic, and a lot of people said it would be a close race. However, the results last night showed that 59% of the state voted yes, 41% no. That is not a close margin at all.
No, it isn't. And, you know, one thing that I would like to point out here is that I think a lot of the negative publicity, I mean, when you look at the stats closer, Atlanta, Macon, and our area, there was a lot of negative publicity with those public schools, and I think that got a lot of voters out. Typically with school board elections, typically they suffer from low turnout, and so therefore you have your teacher unions and your teachers that might play a stronger role in a general election where the masses are going to be coming out. And so really I think what it speaks to is that people are looking for choices. Mm-hmm. And then also I want to also talk about the state. Governor Deal, this is one of his primary strategies in improving competition and providing options, because that's an economic development issue. When employers are thinking about moving to the state of Georgia, mm-hmm. they want multiple options. A lot of people want to be in diverse academic environments that can meet their diverse needs, and so.
Well, one thing I noticed, we're going to throw up a graphic right now to see how county by county we voted in the state of Georgia, if we could get that up. Look at this. The green counties mean they voted yes. The blue counties mean they voted no. So if you see a trend, Atlanta, Albany, Savannah area, Augusta, Macon, Columbus, they mostly voted yes, but then the other more rural areas voted no. So that's kind of interesting that the more populated areas wanted this to really happen and carried the state.
You know, one thing I would look at, the reason why I think in the rural areas there wasn't as much support is because generally rural environments have a more distrust of government, and I think that was one thing that's playing a factor. They want to maintain their local control of the schools and are concerned about bureaucrats from Atlanta making those decisions. So that might be one of the reasons why we saw those results come out like that.
We definitely have some more options now, which the whole state voted for. So we'll stay tuned, because right after the break, we're going to move on from local to talking about nationwide results. Stay tuned. I don't know about you, but I stayed up all night just to make sure I could hear both Mitt Romney's speech and President Obama's speech. Did you?
I did.
I thought you did. Now, a lot of you, I'm sure, did too. And if you did, one thing you notice is that in both of their speeches, they highlighted the fact that we need to work together across the aisles, and two, that a stronger America means more jobs and that we have to really commit to it. Why was it so remarkable that both men had to touch on those main two topics?
Because they know that Americans are frustrated. They want results, and they're tired of all the bickering. And so, but here are the challenges. One, especially in the House, unfortunately for Obama, the House is controlled by Republicans, and their terms are every 2 years. And if they are seen as going against their principles, that's going to make them vulnerable come 2014. And so that's why it's very hard to have some give and take between the two parties.
I think the fact that they both hammered on jobs is reassuring to a lot of people, but I think almost everyone, regardless of what party you're on, wants to see results. Everyone's kind of tired of the talk and the bickering. Results are what they're really expecting. So I think that'll speak loudly, and we're all looking forward to what happens. But one thing that everyone was paying attention to, Georgia, as predicted, became a red state. It's been a red state for a long time, but swing states are what people were paying attention to because of the electoral votes. We have a graphic we're going to throw up to show you the swing states. Now, the ones highlighted, the Nevada, Colorado, North Carolina, Virginia, Ohio, the one that everyone was talking about. Obama swept Colorado, Nevada, Ohio, Virginia, Iowa, and Wisconsin, while Romney took North Carolina and Florida. When it comes to the swing states, you know, everyone likes to think that they matter, We all want our vote to count, but when it really gets down to it, it's the Electoral College and swing states that make a difference.
Absolutely.
Why?
Well, for one, it's the way our Constitution was set up, and that all states don't have equal power. It's and the more populated you are in an area, the more power you would have in a presidency. And the rationale behind that is because those are the areas where economic growth, well, this is just my theory, is that economic growth is going to be more impacted in urban centers or areas where you have a lot of people than areas that are sparsely populated. And, you know, and one other thing that is interesting, if you break down that map even closer and looking at counties, when you look at the geography, Republicans dominate.
They do.
But then when you look at those urban centers, they're very small, but they're heavily populated. And so when you look at the presidency, it's not how many counties you win, it's how many people vote for you. And so that favors Democrats, and traditionally it's favored Democrats. But when it comes to Republicans, they don't. They have a message that really resonates with rural communities, and that's because they're more traditional and more resistant to change.
One thing we noticed with swing states when looking at the breakout, because everyone was focused on Ohio, and like you said, the majority of the state was colored red except for in the Cincinnati and the Cleveland areas. But when it comes to states that were significant to Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan, you know, he was governor of a state that didn't go his way.
Right.
Ryan is from Wisconsin. Obama took that, you know, and so when you look at things like that and you look at the states that Romney carried, North Carolina and Florida, which they took a while to get their results in, people are really thinking, why? You know, how come Ryan is on the ticket and he didn't carry his own state?
Well, let's look at where Ryan is congressman. He's not a congressman in a big city. So as you can see on that map, it's much easier for a Republican to rise to power in more of a rural area. And so that's the reason why Ryan rose to power. And really, when you look at Michigan and Wisconsin, those are areas that have a strong support from unions. And when you think about Romney's op-ed talking about how we should have sent them into bankruptcy and a managed bankruptcy, that's something that's going to scare unions. Absolutely. And it's going to, and I think that hurt him in his home state.
Very briefly, because we're running out of time, what would you say is the #1 challenge President Obama is facing continuing into his second term?
I would definitely say the sequestration, and the fiscal cliff that we are approaching is going to be very challenging. I'm going to tell you a couple reasons why. One, with Republicans, they have signed a pledge with Grover Norquist saying that they will not submit to any increase in tax revenues. So really, that when it comes to we'll compromise with you, but as long as you submit to just spending cuts, so you have less flexibility on that part. And then when you look at from the Democrat side, the key there is that they want to raise taxes on the rich, and that's going to be very hard for them to go across party lines for that to happen. Really, I think really we need to go to the Bowles-Simpson framework, and I think work from there. And I think that's how we can avoid that fiscal cliff.
A lot of challenges ahead. Certainly a lot for us to look forward to. Thank you very much for coming on. We certainly appreciate it as always. And right now we're going to throw it over